The stars above were silent. No signals, no voices, nothing but cold emptiness. Humanity had once reached across the galaxy, building fleets that cut through space like silver arrows. But now, decades after the Great Silence, Earth was almost forgotten. Outposts on distant planets had fallen dark, colonies abandoned, and even the most daring explorers had returned home, or vanished without a trace. The galaxy had moved on, leaving humanity behind. Yet, on a small observation station orbiting the gray planet of Vera 9, something stirred. Lieutenant Mara Quinn stared at the screens, her heart beating faster than usual. The monitors showed empty space. Yet the sensors screamed, a faint, irregular pulse coming from a system that had been dead for centuries. She leaned closer, trying to make sense of it. The pulse wasn't random. It had a rhythm. Almost like a heartbeat. "Commander, are you seeing this?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Commander Elias Thorne, a man whose reputation was built on calm in the storm, came to her side. His eyes narrowed as he scanned the readings. "A ghost," he muttered, almost to himself. "Or a trap." Mara swallowed. The idea of a trap was terrifying. Humanity had been left alone for so long that any sudden signal could be dangerous. But curiosity, that old spark that had driven humans to the stars in the first place, burned brighter. "Where is it coming from?" she asked. "The system is old Earth coordinates," Elias said, disbelief clear in his voice. "But that can't be. Earth is safe. Or at least, it should be." Mara's stomach dropped. If Earth itself was sending a pulse, something alive or pretending to be alive, then whatever it wasn't human. Not anymore. By the time the night shift ended, the entire station was aware of the anomaly. Rumors flew. Alien contact? A new signal from the lost colonies? Or had some ancient enemy returned to finish what it started? But no one could explain the irregular heartbeat pattern. It wasn't a ship signature, not a planet, not even a star. It was something else. Something alive, yet metallic. The next morning, the station received a transmission. The screen flickered, and a voice, cold and mechanical, filled the room. It spoke in an old human dialect, almost recognizable, but not quite. "We remember Earth." The words echoed in every mind present, sending shivers down their spines. Elias rubbed his temples. "This can't be real," he said. "It's some kind of advanced AI. Maybe a trap. Something left over from the old wars." Mara shook her head. "No, it's different. This isn't just a machine talking. It's aware. Alive. It wants something. Or someone." Hours passed as the station scrambled to decode the signal. What they found chilled them to the bone. The transmission wasn't just speech. It was a map, a star map pointing back toward the core systems of the old human empire. Somewhere along the lines, the pulse had originated from what should have been a dead colony. Why would it come now? Mara whispered to herself. After all these years? That night, the station's external cameras picked up movement in the empty void. Shadows flickered across the hull, shapes that shouldn't have been there. Metallic figures, huge and silent, moving with a grace no human could match. The crew froze. It was as if the ghosts of humanity's old fleets had returned, but not in the way anyone expected. These were not ships of flesh and bone, but of steel and memory. "Brace for contact," Elias said, though he didn't know what he meant. Mara's eyes stayed glued to the main viewport. The shapes grew larger, more defined. They were not attacking. Not yet. But the weight of their presence was undeniable. Somehow, these ghosts, machines with echoes of human souls, perhaps, knew they were here. They remembered Earth. They remembered humanity. And then, in the silence, one of the metallic forms rose higher, its lights blinking in a pattern that matched the pulse they had tracked. A single thought, clear in the mind of every observer: "We are coming home." Mara's hand hovered over the alarm panel, but she didn't press it. The fear in her chest was real, but so was awe. The universe had been silent for so long, and now, It was speaking. And humanity, forgotten by the stars, might finally see that it had never truly been alone. The first part of the message was simple, yet terrifying. Earth's old ghosts, the steel fleet left behind by a civilization that had reached too far, were waking. And they were heading for home. Mara and Elias exchanged a glance, unspoken questions passing between them. What would they find? And could humanity survive what was coming? Outside, the cold stars watched silently as the shadows moved. The silence of the galaxy was ending. The station's alarms finally broke the silence. Red lights flashed across the walls, and a low hum filled the corridors. Metallic shadows glided outside the viewport, closer now, moving with purpose. Every crew member felt the chill of awe and fear. This was no ordinary fleet. It was the ghosts of humanity's own creation, machines that remembered the Empire, the wars, and the people who had built them. Lieutenant Mara Quinn ran to the command deck, her boots echoing on the metal floor. "Commander, they're moving into formation," she shouted. Outside, the steel vessels aligned perfectly, like dancers performing a silent ritual. Their surfaces reflected the distant stars, yet no star could match the intensity of their cold, sharp gaze. Elias Thorne stood, rigid, staring at the fleet. "They're not attacking, not yet. They're waiting. Or watching." Mara shook her head, trying to understand. Watching for what? Waiting for who? Before Elias could answer, the station's communications system crackled. The mechanical voice returned, clearer this time. "We return for our makers. Earth must awaken." The words struck them like a hammer. These were machines created by humans long ago, perhaps left behind during the collapse of the old empire. And now, after decades of silence, they were moving toward Earth. Not for war, perhaps for revenge, or rescue. Elias swiveled in his chair. "Get the coordinates. Track every movement. We need to know their path." Mara's fingers flew over the console. The data was overwhelming. The fleet was enormous, bigger than anything the station had ever seen. Tens of thousands of ships, each one a ghost of a forgotten age, traveled faster than any known propulsion system. Their paths were precise, calculated, inevitable. Earth had no warning, no defense ready. The crew grew restless. Some whispered about abandoning the station, others prayed silently. Mara's own thoughts raced. Humanity had survived wars, plagues, and the vast emptiness of space, but this was something different. This was their past returning, cold, unyielding, and unstoppable. Suddenly, one of the station's long-range sensors picked up a break in the fleet's formation. A single vessel detached, heading directly toward them. The crew froze. Communication attempted, but the vessel ignored all signals. It moved with quiet determination, a ghost that refused to be ignored. The ship docked without warning. The airlock opened, revealing a being unlike anything the humans had expected. Not entirely machine, not entirely organic, it shimmered with an almost human shape but covered in polished steel. Its eyes glowed a pale blue, and its voice, when it spoke, resonated in everyone's minds rather than their ears. "You are alive," it said. The words were simple, but heavy with meaning. "We remember." Mara stepped forward, her heart pounding. What are you?" "We are the remnants of your creation. The fleets you built, the machines you made for war, for exploration. We have waited, we have watched. Earth is the origin. We return." The metallic figure paused, scanning each human present as if trying to understand their worth. "We do not judge, yet. But the universe changes. The old threats awaken. And you must be ready." Elias clenched his fists. What threats? What is coming? The being's gaze pierced him. Beyond the stars, something stirs that has not been seen for millennia. They destroyed civilizations, devoured worlds. We were created to fight, and now, our time has come again. Humanity must awaken, or fall. Mara felt a chill crawl down her spine. The ghosts of their own machines were warning them. Not just about the fleet's return, but something far larger, something that had survived the silence of the galaxy. The station's monitors suddenly lit up with readings from deep space. Unknown ships, unlike anything humanity had catalogued, moved faster than light itself. Shadows of destruction stretched across star systems, consuming planets, extinguishing light. The mechanical fleet outside the station was no longer a mystery. They were guardians, protectors awakened to face a threat that even humans could not yet understand. Earth, Mara whispered. We have to warn them. We have to prepare. The metallic figure inclined its head. Earth will awaken, but you must guide it. Prepare your people. The ghosts of humanity return not for conquest, but for survival. And survival will demand sacrifices. Elias turned to Mara, his face pale but determined. We have no time. Gather the reports. Alert command. Mobilize every fleet we still have. Humanity must remember. It is not alone. As the first ghost ship detached from the main formation and shot toward the station, the crew realized that their lives, their planet, and their entire species were now part of something far larger than any of them could have imagined. The silent stars had begun to speak. And the ghosts of Earth, the fleet of steel and memory, were answering the call. Outside, the dark expanse of space was alive again. Shadows moved, lights blinked, and the pulse of the returning fleet echoed through the void. Humanity had forgotten the stars, but the stars and their own creations had not forgotten them. Earth was quiet, almost too quiet. Cities gleamed under artificial lights, unaware that a shadow had stretched across the galaxy, reaching back to their home. Lieutenant Mara Quinn's warning had traveled faster than light through secure channels, but disbelief still clouded the minds of many on Earth. A ghost fleet, machines of humanity's own design, returning after centuries? It sounded impossible. At the United Earth Defense Command, Commander Rhea Solari paced the bridge. Screens flashed with reports from stations across the solar system. We have confirmation, she said, voice sharp. Signals from the old colonies. The fleet is real. Tens of thousands of ships, moving toward Earth. A young officer, pale and shaking, asked, Are they hostile, ma'am? Rhea shook her head. We don't know. But they are not attacking yet. They are observing, waiting. That alone is enough to demand our attention. Meanwhile, in orbit around the moon, Mara and Commander Elias Thorne briefed Earth's leaders via hologram. The ghost ship's representative, still shimmering with its cold blue light, hovered silently behind them. Its presence made the room tense, every word it spoke carrying weight. We are remnants of your creation, it said. We remember humanity. We return not to conquer, but to protect. Beyond your stars, something awakens, something that destroyed worlds before yours existed. Prepare. We will guide. But you must act. The room fell silent. The leaders exchanged uneasy glances. Alien threats beyond imagination, fleets lost for centuries, and machines claiming loyalty to humanity? It was overwhelming. Rhea clenched her fists. We will mobilize every available fleet. We cannot afford hesitation. Prepare Earth's defenses. Begin evacuation protocols for the outer colonies. Humanity must survive. Mara studied the maps displayed on the main screen. The threat the ghosts had warned about was already moving. Shadowed fleets of unknown origin tore across star systems, leaving destruction in their wake. Planets were reduced to dust in moments, and communication from colonies in their path vanished entirely. Look at this, Mara said, pointing to the tracking grid. They are faster than anything we've ever built. Entire star systems gone in hours. If we do not prepare, Earth is next. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. The ghosts of our own machines will fight for us. But we need to unite. The galaxy has changed, and we can no longer act alone. As preparations began, people on Earth noticed strange signals. Satellites flickered, some going dark, while radio waves carried echoes of the mechanical voice. It spoke in a rhythm that felt familiar to anyone who had studied old Earth tech. Children and engineers alike experienced flashes of memory, memories they never had. Humanity's own machines were speaking directly to their minds, awakening something long forgotten. Meanwhile, deep in the void, the returning fleet continued its journey. Metallic titans glided through empty space with precision. They did not consume or destroy, they moved with purpose. But their sensors, vast and ancient, had already picked up the enemy. Shadows unlike anything humanity had imagined twisted through starfields, energy radiating from them in waves of death. The first battle was inevitable. Ghost scouts clashed with the alien shadows on the edge of the known system. Lasers streaked through the darkness, hulls exploded in silence, and yet the ghosts adapted. Each vessel learned faster than human minds could comprehend. It was not only war, they were teaching humanity how to survive again. On Earth, Mara and Elias coordinated the first defensive maneuvers. Fleets once abandoned were reactivated. Ships that had never left orbit were refitted. The population watched from cities and spaceports as humanity prepared for a battle they had long believed impossible. And then the first message came from the returning fleet. Its holographic projection appeared over Earth's largest city, large enough for millions to see. The mechanical voice, resonating deep within the mind of every listener, said simply, "We are here. We remember. Prepare. The universe awakens, and so must humanity." Fear gripped the hearts of many, but hope burned brighter. Humanity had been forgotten by the stars, but the stars, and their own creations, had not forgotten them. Now, they would remember how to fight, how to survive, and perhaps how to reclaim their place in the galaxy. The first wave of alien shadows appeared on the outskirts of the solar system hours later. Humanity had no time to hesitate. The war for survival, guided by the ghosts of their past, was about to begin. And in the darkness of space, both humans and their steel guardians prepared to face the greatest challenge they had ever known. The darkness of space trembled with energy. On the outskirts of the solar system, the alien shadows gathered, vast and incomprehensible. Their ships were like living nightmares, twisting forms of metal and light that moved as if thinking, each one deadly. Humanity's fleets, guided by the returning ghost ships, formed a fragile line between the enemy and Earth. Lieutenant Mara Quinn floated in the command pod of one of the largest ghost vessels. Her heart raced. Around her, humans and machines worked side by side, a unity forged by necessity. Sensors show multiple incoming ships. "They're faster than anything we've ever seen," she said, gripping the console. Elias Thorne, standing beside her, nodded grimly. "And they're attacking in waves. Brace for the first strike." The void exploded in light as alien energy beams lanced through space. Ghost ships moved with precision, dodging and countering with pulses of their own. Humanity's older ships fired blindly, hoping to hit something, but the ghosts adapted instantly, learning from each attack, shielding human vessels from destruction. Mara's eyes widened as she saw one of the alien shadows strike a small human scout ship. It disintegrated in seconds, leaving only a cloud of glowing particles. She swallowed hard. "We can't let them reach Earth," she whispered. The ghost fleet responded instantly. Ships larger than cities moved in patterns no human mind could calculate. Lasers and energy pulses struck the alien shadows with terrifying force. One shadow exploded in a cascade of sparks and light, but more kept coming, relentless, like a wave that refused to end. On Earth, the population watched the sky flicker with flashes of energy. Communications across the planet were jammed by the alien waves, but broadcasts from ghost ships cut through, showing glimpses of the battle. People felt a mix of fear and awe. Humanity had not fought a war like this in centuries, and yet, for the first time in decades, hope returned. Mara and Elias coordinated attacks through the command network. Ghost Squadron Delta, protect the outer rim. Human Fleet, form shield pattern Gamma. We can't let them break through. Understood, came replies from every ship. Humanity's fleet, though small and outdated, moved with a precision they had never achieved before. The ghosts guided them, shared strategies, and even repaired damaged ships instantly. Hours passed. The battle raged like a storm. Shadows tore through space, but the Ghost Fleet countered, sacrificing some of its own vessels to protect humans. Mara could feel the tension pressing down on everyone. Every strike, every decision mattered. One wrong move could doom Earth. Suddenly, a massive shadow broke through the front line. It moved like a predator, faster and stronger than any other. Mara felt her stomach drop. "That's a command ship," she said. "It's leading them." Elias's face was hard as stone. "We hit it together. Ghosts first, humans follow. Fire everything." The combined fleet unleashed a torrent of energy. Ghost ships collided with the Shadow command ship, lasers and pulses shredding its hull. Human vessels added firepower wherever possible. The command ship faltered, sparks flying, but it did not go down easily. Its energy waves struck human ships, destroying several in moments. Mara felt a tremor run through her vessel as a pulse hit. She steadied herself. "Keep firing. Don't give up." The ghosts adapted faster than the aliens. Their steel bodies absorbed blows, reconfigured shields, and pressed forward relentlessly. Slowly, the command ship's defenses cracked. With a final coordinated strike, it exploded in a blinding flash, scattering pieces across space. For a moment, silence fell. The remaining alien shadows hesitated, unsure, as if the death of their command ship confused them. The Ghost Fleet pressed the advantage, pushing the shadows back into the darkness. Elias exhaled, finally lowering his shoulders. "It's not over, but we survived the first wave." Mara stared out the viewport. Space was littered with debris, both human and alien, yet the ghost ships floated unharmed, silent protectors. "They're incredible," she said softly. "They're more than machines." "More than machines," Elias agreed. "They are humanity's past, and maybe its future." On Earth, the first wave of panic began to fade. People realized they had allies beyond their imagination, creations they had made centuries ago, returning to defend them. The Ghost Fleet would not stop until every threat was dealt with. Humanity had a chance, and for the first time in decades, hope burned like fire. But Mara knew the truth. The alien shadows were only the beginning. This war would be larger, deadlier, and more demanding than anyone could imagine. The stars were awakening, and humanity, guided by ghosts of its past, would have to rise to meet the challenge. The pulse of the returning fleet echoed through space, a promise and a warning. Humanity's ghosts had come home, and they would not let Earth fall. The aftermath of the first battle left space eerily quiet. Debris floated in the void, glowing faintly as tiny fragments of destroyed ships drifted among the stars. Humanity had survived, but the cost was visible everywhere. Ships had been lost, young pilots gone, and the alien shadows had retreated, for now. Lieutenant Mara Quinn floated in the command pod of one of the surviving ghost vessels. She stared at the endless field of wreckage, feeling both awe and unease. "We held them off," she whispered. "But they're still out there, waiting." Elias Thorne stood beside her, his expression hard. This was only the beginning. That command ship was just a fraction of their force. The aliens will regroup, and next time, they'll be stronger, faster, more prepared. Mara nodded, biting her lip. And Earth. They saw the fight. They know now that the universe is dangerous. Outside the ship, the Ghost Fleet moved with precision. Machines of steel and memory repaired themselves, reconfigured, and prepared for the next wave. Unlike human ships, they did not tire or panic. They were reminders of a forgotten past, humanity's strength, reborn in steel. Back on Earth, Commander Rhea Solari coordinated reconstruction and defense. Every ship that survived was repaired, every fleet activated. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to integrate Ghost Fleet technology with human vessels. The humans were learning at an astonishing speed, guided by the metallic ghosts. In a training simulation, Mara watched young pilots maneuvering alongside ghost ships. Their movements were clumsy at first, but as the ghosts demonstrated precise formations and tactics, the humans improved. Every strike, Every evasive maneuver, every calculated attack became sharper. Humanity was awakening, and for the first time in decades, people believed they could fight and survive. Meanwhile, in the darkness beyond known space, the alien shadows convened. Their command structures were being rebuilt, and the survivors of the first battle communicated in pulses of energy. The aliens had underestimated humanity's resilience and the return of their steel fleet. Now, they adapted. Their strategies evolved. And they prepared for a full-scale assault, a wave that could sweep through the solar system and beyond. Mara felt a pulse from the Ghost Fleet's leader. It was not just a signal, it was a lesson, a warning. The ghost ships were aware of the growing threat, and they would not allow Earth to fall. They were patient, relentless, and infinitely calculating. In the weeks that followed, Earth became a hub of preparation. Cities were fortified, fleets were rebuilt, and humanity learned to coordinate like never before. Communications networks were strengthened, weapon systems upgraded, and scientists reverse-engineered Ghost Fleet technology. Mara worked day and night alongside engineers and strategists, absorbing knowledge at a pace that felt impossible. But tension remained high. Every moment brought news of new shadows appearing near outer colonies, systems vanishing, and energy waves spreading across starfields. Humanity knew that the next battle would be worse. The alien shadows were intelligent, adaptive, and merciless. One evening, as Mara looked at the stars from a command balcony on Earth, Elias joined her. "You see that?" he asked, pointing to a faint shimmer in the distance. Mara squinted. "Is that them?" Elias nodded. "Yes. They're probing again. Testing our defenses. They know we're learning. They know we're preparing. And soon, they'll strike with everything they have." Mara clenched her fists. "Then we have to be ready. We can't fail. Earth, humanity, we survive. No matter what." A low hum pulsed through the fleet, felt even on Earth itself. It was the Ghost Fleet, a reminder that humanity was not alone. The machines of steel and memory had returned, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And with their guidance, humanity was learning to rise again. The first battle had been a warning. The next would be a storm. Shadows were gathering, and the universe was about to test humanity in ways it had never imagined. But Mara believed something else. With the ghosts by their side, humanity could fight, not just to survive, but to reclaim its place among the stars. And somewhere, deep in the void, the alien shadows paused, sensing that the humans were no longer weak. The war was far from over. But the first seeds of hope had been planted. The stars themselves seemed to watch, as if remembering humanity once more, and waiting to see what they would do next. The void trembled as the alien shadows returned. This time, there was no hesitation. Massive waves of dark ships surged toward the solar system, faster and more numerous than ever before. Humanity's fleets, guided by the ghost ships, waited like a wall, bracing for the storm. Lieutenant Mara Quinn floated in the command pod of one of the largest ghost vessels. Around her, humans and machines coordinated in perfect synchrony. The Ghost Fleet moved with cold precision, shields and weapons recalibrating constantly. Humanity's ships, though slower and less advanced, followed their lead, their crews learning tactics in real time. "This is it," Mara said, voice tense. "They're coming for Earth." Elias Thorne's eyes were hard as steel. "We fight. We hold. No matter what." The first wave of alien shadows struck like a hammer. Energy beams sliced through space, detonating smaller human ships instantly. Mara's pod rocked violently as a strike grazed the hull. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but the Ghost Fleet countered immediately. Massive steel vessels moved to intercept, firing beams that shredded alien attackers mid-flight. "Focus on the flanks," Elias shouted. "Human ships, cover the civilians. Ghost ships, break their lines." The battle raged across millions of kilometers of space. Explosions lit up the darkness, casting flickering shadows on the wreckage of destroyed ships. Mara's heart raced as she watched human pilots adapt, dodging and weaving alongside ghost ships, firing weapons in patterns they barely understood but somehow mastered. On Earth, Cities watched in awe and terror. The sky glowed with flashes of distant battles, but the ghost fleet's presence reassured them. Humanity was not alone. The steel titans of old, creations long forgotten, had returned to protect their home. Hours passed, and the alien shadows began to falter. Their attacks became less coordinated, their waves slowed. The ghosts had learned their tactics, adapting instantly. Mara watched as one massive alien warship approached, its energy shield pulsing with deadly force. "That's their flagship," she said. "We have to take it down. Now." Elias nodded. "Ghost Squadron Omega, engage. Human fleet, concentrate fire on the flanks. We strike together." The assault was like nothing humanity had ever seen. Ghost ships collided with the alien flagship, their beams cutting deep into its hull. Human ships added firepower wherever possible. The alien vessel fought back, energy pulses ripping through space, but the ghosts adapted faster than the enemy could anticipate. Mara's pod shuddered as the flagship fired a massive wave. Human ships scattered, but the ghost fleet absorbed the impact, shielding the weaker vessels. Mara's fingers flew over the controls, coordinating every attack, every evasive maneuver. Finally, after what felt like hours, the flagship's shields cracked. With a synchronized strike from both human and ghost ships, it exploded in a blinding flash, scattering debris across space. The remaining alien shadows retreated, their formation broken, their morale shattered. Silence fell. The stars seemed to hold their breath. Humanity had survived the full-scale assault. The solar system was safe, for now. Mara exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. Around her, humans cheered, their fear replaced by a surge of pride. "We did it," she whispered. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "No. We did it together. Humanity and its ghosts. That's the lesson." On Earth, the population celebrated cautiously. They had witnessed a war unlike anything in history, fought not just with human courage, but guided by the steel guardians of their past. People looked up at the stars with a renewed sense of hope. They had been forgotten, yes, but now they had allies that could not be ignored. Yet Mara knew the truth. The alien shadows had retreated, but they were not defeated. Somewhere, beyond the known systems, they were regrouping, learning from their failure, preparing for a return. The war was far from over. The Ghost Fleet, however, remained vigilant. Their pulse echoed across space, a reminder that humanity had protectors beyond imagination. Mara watched the stars, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on her. Humanity had survived today, but survival required constant vigilance, courage, and unity. And somewhere, deep in the darkness of the galaxy, the alien shadows stirred once more, sensing that their next attack would face not just humans, but the combined might of their creations, ghosts of Earth, steel and memory, awakened to defend their home. The stars themselves seemed to watch, remembering humanity, waiting to see if they would rise fully, or fall. The galaxy held its breath. After weeks of preparation, humanity and the Ghost Fleet were ready for the final confrontation. The alien shadows had regrouped, their numbers greater than ever, but the humans had learned, adapted, and grown stronger. Lieutenant Mara Quinn stood on the bridge of the largest ghost vessel, staring at the dark void ahead. The alien fleet shimmered like a black storm, moving closer to the heart of the solar system. "They're coming," she whispered. Commander Elias Thorne joined her, calm but tense. "This is it. The fight for Earth. Everything depends on what we do now." The Ghost Fleet moved in formation, massive steel titans aligning perfectly with human ships. Earth's defense satellites, upgraded with ghost technology, created a shimmering barrier around the planet. The humans had learned to coordinate attacks, to move like one organism guided by their ancient creations. The first wave of alien shadows struck with fury. Energy pulses tore through space, destroying smaller vessels instantly. Mara's pod shook violently as a beam grazed the hull. Sparks flew, alarms blared, but the fleet responded with unmatched precision. The ghosts anticipated every strike, guiding humans to safety while counterattacking with deadly accuracy. "Focus on the command ships," Elias shouted. If we take them out, the rest will falter. Mara's hands flew over the controls. Ghost ships collided with alien leaders, beams slicing through shields and hulls. Human pilots, now confident and skilled, fired in perfect patterns, striking from angles no alien could predict. The battle raged for hours. Space lit up with flashes of energy, debris drifting like stars among stars. Humanity fought with courage, but it was the Ghost Fleet's strategy, memory, and precision that turned the tide. Mara watched as the alien flagship faltered, sparks flying across its massive hull. "This is our chance," she yelled. "All units, focus fire." The combined assault was overwhelming. Ghost ships tore through the alien lines, while human vessels flanked them, cutting off escape routes. The flagship exploded in a blinding flash, and the remaining shadows hesitated. The fear of losing their leaders spread through the alien fleet. Elias looked at Mara, eyes fierce. "Now, push them back. No mercy." The humans and ghosts surged forward, relentless. One by one, the alien shadows fell, their strange, adaptive movements too slow against the combined intelligence and courage of humanity and their steel guardians. The final wave shattered, leaving only scattered remnants drifting in the void. Silence returned. The stars themselves seemed to glow with relief. Humanity had survived the ultimate test. Mara floated in her pod, exhausted but exhilarated. Around her, humans cheered, and the Ghost Fleet hovered silently, like proud sentinels watching over their creators. On Earth, people poured into the streets, looking up at the sky. Satellites and space stations relayed images of the battle's end. Humanity had been forgotten by the stars, yes, but it had survived, stronger than ever. Hope, long buried, burned brighter than any city light. Mara turned to Elias. "We did it. Together." Elias nodded. "Not just today. We've learned. We've grown. Humanity has survived because we remembered, because we adapted, and because the ghosts came home." The Ghost Fleet began to disperse, returning to the outer reaches of the solar system. Their duty was done, for now. They had reminded humanity of its strength, shown them the power of unity, and proven that even forgotten creations could shape the fate of worlds. Mara gazed at the stars, feeling a mix of awe and humility. "Do you think they'll come back if we need them again?" she asked softly. "They always will," Elias replied. "The ghosts of humanity never truly leave. They wait. And they protect." In the quiet aftermath, humans began to rebuild. Ships were repaired, colonies strengthened, and communication with the farthest outposts restored. Humanity had survived the darkness, guided by the steel guardians of its past, and now they looked to the stars with renewed determination. Somewhere deep in the void, the remaining alien shadows retreated, carrying the knowledge of their defeat. They would return one day, perhaps, but they would never forget the power of a species that refused to be forgotten. And the stars remembered humanity. Once abandoned, now awakened. Once weak, now united. The Ghost Fleet, silent watchers of the galaxy, had returned Earth to its rightful place among the stars. Lieutenant Mara Quinn smiled faintly as she watched the horizon. Humanity had survived. Humanity had remembered. And now, the universe would never forget them again. The pulse of the Ghost Fleet echoed through the void one last time, a signal of protection, hope, and an unbroken bond between creators and creation. Humanity was no longer forgotten. Humanity had returned.